one of these platforms live right now, please hit one of those two buttons. Red if you're on YouTube, purple if you're on Twitch. One thing I want to talk about real quick is we are also on all the audio platforms as well. You should see it in this graphic here. Literally, we're on Apple Podcasts, we're on Spotify, iHeartRadio. If you guys listen to podcasts on a platform and you notice we're not on that platform, hit me up on social media, email me, whatever. Make a comment on the YouTube. Let us know, because I want to make sure that we can have the podcast on the audio side wherever you guys listen. I also have some announcements to make. I'm super excited about this. Last couple months I've been super hard at work trying to get this album done for you guys. And the people who are going to get first access to this, I put the link right here. That's going to be the people in the Patreon. So make sure you guys are aware of that. Go to patreon.com/JaredSingerLive. You get first access to everything as we start doing some cooler and cooler shit this summer, as well as bonus content, discounts on merch and stuff like that as we start to roll all that kind of stuff out. So make sure you go there. That's where the biggest supporters. If you've already subscribed, if you've already done that and you want to step it up a notch, you can join for as low as $3 a month. It's not a lot of money, especially with inflation going up. I didn't raise my prices. Still $3 a month. And there's a couple other tiers in there too if you really want to go crazy. All right, we got some ad reads we got to make. Let's get this done. This episode of the podcast and every podcast we do here is sponsored by Tone Vault Audio and Media. Tone Vault Audio and Media was formed as a recording studio business by musicians in active gigging bands. Doing work over the years in multiple facilities as well as in a mobile fashion, simultaneously while playing in live gigging bands, the Tone Vault staff has developed the experience to know why quality, performance, and longevity of cables is important, as well as the demands needed for a great go-to top-of-the-line product for all your professional project needs, as well as live music application. We tried all kinds of cables, and of course we have our favorites. They, however, tend to have a price point that's not so favorable. So we decided to craft our own and make it a little bit more wallet friendly without sacrificing quality. We use these cables ourselves for our studio and music projects, and that includes me. My entire drum set is wired up with these, and we're currently in the process of rewiring the entire podcast studio. They offer a lifetime warranty with a 30-day, zero-risk, money-back guarantee. If you don't like them within that first month, just return them. After that 30 days, it's a lifetime warranty, just like any of the other big names. 24 karat gold contacts, 99% oxygen free. You know the deal. They're absolutely phenomenal. Extravaganza listeners can also use the code 15SINGER, that's 15SINGER, for an extra 15% off any purchase. So go to www.tone-vault.com/JSE and join the Tone Vault family today. This episode of the podcast is also sponsored by Marco V Cigars, the official cigar of the Jared Singer Extravaganza. In 1909, an Italian immigrant named Victor Vito landed on American soil. Despite only having pennies to his name, Victor smoked a cigar to honor his pursuit of opportunity and success. Starting with that first cigar, tradition was born. In the Vito family, cigars came to represent pride in accomplishments and optimism for the future, and they still do. More than a century later, Victor Vito's great-grandson Marco honors his heritage with Marco V Cigars. Marco and his team's commitment to quality, flavor, and construction have established the company as a premier boutique cigar brand. Every step in the Marco V cigar making process is shaped by a drive for perfection. Farmers in the Dominican Republic and Nicaragua tend to their crops by hand, and the planting, harvesting, and curing are carefully guided by Marco V's tobacco experts. Dedicated research and testing have resulted in a leaf that cures with a rich, complex flavor. Each blend is aged for years to enhance the tobacco's deep natural sweetness, and every bale is inspected 6 times before the cigars are rolled by hand, never put through a machine. Quality still comes from the hands of the artisans. After a final inspection, the cigars are packed and shipped around the world. Overseeing the entire supply chain guarantees that every Marco V cigar yields the perfect celebratory smoke. Victor Vito's 1909 cigar represented pride in himself and his achievements. More than a century later, Marco V honors Victor's legacy with the highest quality cigars on the market. Create your own tradition, salute your achievements and your successes with Marco V cigars. Exclusive for Jared Singer Extravaganza listeners, just for you guys, same deal, baby. Go to marcovcigars.com and use checkout code extravaganza15 to get an extra 15% off of your order. You can order my personal favorite, which is their Palladium, or you can order what I'm smoking on right now, which is their Maduro House Blend. Extremely affordable to begin with, and y'all get another 15% off this motherfucker. This episode of the podcast is sponsored by Bud Ingram Lyle Photography. Bud is a photographer specializing in working with bands, both on stage and off stage. His goal is to catch those special images that reflect the dynamic nature of live music. catching badassery since 1886. He also does portrait work of all kinds, photographing solo models or groups in his studio or on location. And yes, you can afford him. Okay, does all of my work. Extremely great guy, very easy to work with, extremely professional. Go to www.bilphoto.com now and book your photo shoot today. Book's out about 60 to 90 days, so whenever you're listening to this, just make sure that you understand you can't book him for this weekend's gig, you guys. This episode of the podcast is also sponsored by Shooter Lube. Yeah, baby, we're back. Shooter Lube's back, baby. Two-stage cleaning system, military-grade cleaning solvent. The new technology has you cleaning your gun better than ever. Our solvent is designed to penetrate deep into the metal, cleaning carbon buildup in less time than other leading solvents. The extreme weapons oil, that's the second stage. Standard gun lubricants and CLPs are outdated and a thing of the past, you guys. With the new cutting-edge technology, we're creating a new level of protection and lubricant. Unlike other gun oils that just sit there on the surface, extreme weapons oil penetrates deep into the pores of the metal. It forms a bond on and in the metal that does not wipe off, wear off, melt, or evaporate with heavy use. There's free shipping on orders over $50 within the United States, and there's a 100% money-back guarantee on all items. So join the revolution by going to www.shooterlube.com and use promo code SINGER to save 15% at checkout today. Ladies and gentlemen, we are live. Brett is taking a leak. He got here a minute ago, but he has to go to the bathroom, so he will be here in just a couple minutes. His stuff's already in the chair, as you can see over there. Make sure you guys hit subscribe or follow if you're watching on Twitch. Subscribe if you're on YouTube. It's free, no matter how you look at it. But yeah, subscribe, hang out for a few minutes so you guys can chat with us, drop questions, all that kind of good shit. Brett is the lead singer and guitarist for Fuzzard. My fucking mic's all fucked up. Great way to start the podcast. Fan-fucking-tastic. Looking forward to this. Hope you guys are excited for this as well. Let me go ahead and get my shit set up here. Make sure I can see that the feed is still up. All right. My wife, Amber, herded me yesterday and today because of my rampant use of this fake Southern accent. It apparently drives her nuts. And I just want you guys to know, I need it on record that if I die from domestic violence, my wife definitely did it, and it's probably because I was using a Southern accent. All right, he's back. All right, finally. Finally, he's here. Oh, Jesus. I don't think we've ever had to start a podcast without a guest before. But luckily, I just knew. I could feel it in the air that he was right around the corner. So I said, fuck it, we're going to start it now. Peanut, you really need to stop.
It's a phone.
Yeah, they should be hanging down. Right, just sit on. And then they should be right to your right below. If they're not there, then look. Oh, they are there. Okay, good. Thank God. I don't know if I can explain that if you're standing up above. You know what I mean? It's like you got to sit down and then they're right there.
Oh, check it.
Go ahead and twist that towards you. There
Hello!
You go. And that fucker is not working at all for some reason. Go ahead and hit it again.
Check 1 2 check.
Okay,
test.
they can hear you. I don't know why I can't hear you.
Yeah,
that's a strange thing.
Mm-hmm.
See if we can suss that out real quick here. Let's see. Bada bing, bada boom. How you doing, Brett?
I'm doing good, man. How about you?
I'm doing well, man. You look great, by the way.
I like these doggies. Thank you.
My rude ass dogs.
All dogs are good dogs, right?
Yeah, but these ones are rude as fuck. Especially that one. Wait,
not so much anymore.
No, that one's cool. He loves people. He's almost overly socialized with people. That one's Yoshi. That's the dad. It's the fat one here, Peanut. If anybody she shouldn't even be down here. Clearly
the pets.
Clearly my wife is slacking on dog security. But the problem is if anybody makes any I can't have buddies over to watch the hockey game or football game if she's in the room.
Right.
Because if anybody's like, yeah, she literally starts barking and starts nipping at them because she thinks they're attacking me or whatever. It's not a good thing. It's not good. She's a total bitch. But how you doing, buddy?
I'm
Cheers.
Good. Cheers.
Cheers. It's good to see you, man.
You too, man.
So we should probably tell people quickly the hilarious story from, what was it, 2 weeks?
Of how prompt I am?
A month ago?
Yeah.
Well, dude, here's the thing is like, obviously you being late isn't a pattern problem because you were early for our last podcast.
Some
And
would
people are
argue
going,
with you, but-
people are going, what last podcast exactly? So hear me out. It's a hilarious story. So you showed up early. You showed up so early. It was 7 days before our actual scheduled podcast last time.
Yeah.
It was so fucking funny.
But it was good. I got the lay of the land, got to
Yeah,
get the vibe, figure out what
At
you
least
were
you knew
doing.
what
This
you're
is going to
walking
be
into,
so
right?
awesome because we got that, that pre-tour ahead of time.
Yeah, unfortunately, when you came down, it was because normally it would be like, well, fuck it, dude, you're here. Let's just do a podcast.
Right.
But the basement had just flooded the day before. So I don't know if you remember this, but it stunk down here. It was like really sticky and humid and shit. Because like every 45 minutes, I had to keep shop vacuuming the carpet and get all that water out of here. It was terrible.
But it looks like it's under control now.
Yeah, and it's weird because it only floods under two circumstances. If we get like a crazy rain or we get like 2 or 3 consecutive days of drizzle, then it'll, and it's not like we get like inches of water down here, but it's enough and it's a slow enough trickle that like it basically huddles under this table. It
Sure.
like trickles in and just settles under this table, and it's just nasty, dude. It's just gross. So, but I appreciate you being here, man. You did tell me you were going to be late. We knew that. And instead of rescheduling, we just decided to go a little bit later tonight. So I don't want the listeners, as much shit as I'm giving you, I don't want the listeners to think you were actually late. This was kind of planned. And then we were hoping 7:30, and I think we did okay because I basically started the show at like 7:40, something like that. I hit it because we got 10 minutes worth of ads that run, so fuck it.
It's rock and roll fashionably late.
How was rehearsal?
It was good. We're pumped. The band was sounding good. It was pretty good. I was a little out of tune a couple of times.
Your guitar?
Yeah, just temperature, things like that.
That's what rehearsals are for, though.
Yeah. Well,
Right.
I mean, ultimately the rehearsals are better when you're in tune, but yeah, it's good. We're stoked. We're getting ready to play. So
Speaking of,
yes.
tell people what you got coming up.
So we're playing Lakes Jam June 23rd, next Thursday, a week from today. We're stoked about it. We're on the main stage. We go on at 3:00 in the afternoon.
And if anybody wants to get tickets, where do they go to get those?
We'll go to the Lakes Jam website. It's just the name of the place.com, lakesjam.com. You may have, inroads to that through social media as well.
Do you have the link on your website?
We probably do.
Hopefully you guys do, and then you guys can go to that. The link is in the description of this video, fuzzard.com. Just go to fuzzard.com.
Well, there you go.
Boom.
Yeah.
Well, I'm happy to have you here, man.
Yeah, stoked. I'm stoked that it's summer finally.
Are you more of a summer guy than a
I
winter
am.
guy?
I hate winter. I hate it.
What about winter pisses you off?
The temperature.
Is it just the cold?
I do love the first snowfall and the heavy snow on the trees and the branches, and it's pretty, and it's Minnesota, and it's beautiful, but it gets old for me fast, but
I just finally started being able to sympathize with that. I legitimately think it was 3 or 4 years ago we had a really bad snowstorm. My fucking car got stuck in the alley. Actually, technically it was my wife's car. And dude, I was just like, I'm fucking done. I hate this fucking shit, blah. And I just, for the first time in my life, I actually seriously considered moving. And now me and my wife are legitimately thinking about buying rental property down in Texas, and then legitimately snowbirding it back and forth.
I think you should.
If she can do a remote deal and I can set up a second podcast studio,
Sure.
go down there for the winter, be up here for the summer. But you know what I do love about the winter is the smell of the fresh air.
Mm-hmm.
That clean, crisp, midwinter air that you get in Minnesota. I don't think I can live without it.
Yeah.
It just smells clean. The air is fresher.
It
I
is.
swear to God, smells and pollutants, they don't float in cold air. Maybe I'm insane, but
Yeah. I think so.
yeah.
But
Yeah,
I'm
I
here
think
with
you're
you.
insane. I think you're insane.
Embracing your insanity. And I hope you're embracing mine.
So tell people about Fuzzard, especially the people that don't know. But there might be people that know. But give them a quick rundown.
So this was a band that was forged in the fires of the pandemic. And it was just can I swear? It was fuck of a lot of fun. Rob and I, the bass player, have been together in multiple bands. I mean, we've been joined at the hip since we were little kids. You know, we've been doing it together for a long time.
And who's Rob?
Rob Berg is our bassist.
Okay.
But actually, it started with Scott Savage, our drummer. He and I would just kind of get together for impromptu jams whenever our bands weren't busy. And, you know, we always had a great chemistry. Just, you know, guitars and drums. We just slug out some riffs, and we always kind of had this prolific thing where we would come up with a lot of song ideas, and we just kind of kept doing it. But I think by the time the pandemic came, you know, for me, no love lost with Downtread. It was just time to take a break and do something new.
The band was called Downtread.
Yeah, and
it's a cool band name.
Yeah, and I mean, we were together for many, many years, and we had 3 albums out and EPs, and an EP and 3 albums, and played a lot of shows together. And we did the thing, and it was a great ride. It was just time to do something new, and I think, you know, not to talk about the pandemic that's in our rear view, but that was the birth of Buzzard. You know, people hit with this thing, had a chance to kind of reevaluate their lives and figure out what kind of really mattered to them and maybe reinvent themselves. And that was it. Hit the reset button, do something new. So Scott and I got a rehearsal space. We started writing. And we went through some changes along the way. And Rob kind of came along. Eric Vobeda from Via and Flip and his Foo Fighters tribute band was on guitar with us for quite some time. He's a good bro and a great fucking hang. Love that
shout
dude.
out to Eric, man. He's been on the podcast a few times.
Shout out. Yeah, he's been here a few times.
He's actually the one that told me I should reach out to you and see if I could get you on.
Yeah,
that was a long time ago, but yeah.
I think that was the connection. And I remember watching him.
I love Eric.
Yeah, I do too. He's a hard guy not to love. And, you know, we started recording. We started kind of doing the whole thing, becoming a band. And I think, you know, our plan was nobody could play live shows. So we wanted to create inclusion for the fan base we were building as we go, you know, and it's still a work in process, right? So rather than, you know, wait to put out an album or whatever, there was nothing you couldn't go play shows. So we started releasing singles and,
smart,
you know, brought everybody in as part of the process, you know, to kind of say, hey, you can just be with us as we're doing this. And for me, putting together the digital footprint of the band was really important. You know, because it's something we all think about. You know, you're supposed to do this and you should do that and you whatever. And so I just kind of made a commitment to myself, really, that we're at least going to get that part of it started and be committed to it, and try to always release content on social media platforms and develop those platforms along the way, so people can kind of see what's happening with you, rather than, you know, band comes out, they put out an album, they play a show, and then they're gone. And we released 5 singles leading up to the album, which came out just in December of last year. Probably about midway through this journey I'm taking you on. Eric, it was just kind of evident that Eric was in a lot of bands, and we were doing doing this pretty aggressively, like the work ethic of our band. He said, "You guys are insane." He's like, "You guys are nuts. Nobody practices as much as you do." And
how often do you guys practice?
Well,
or was he talking about you as individual people?
No, as a group, we had, you know, dude, it was the pandemic, so it's like, what else are you got? Like, That's the first time you look at your calendar. It's clear, right? So there's a chance to just like really do what you love. Not that he wasn't doing it; he was just doing it in multiple bands, right?
How often were you getting together?
Well, for us, it was rehearsal was like 3 times a week, and we were constantly working on something all the time. So I might be writing and demoing and working on music or recording vocals or doing things like that, while the rhythm section, Rob and Scott, and they still do it to this day, they run rehearsals without Eric Fairchild, new Eric. There's Eric number 1, Eric number 2. I'm surrounded by Erics, and that's kind of a good thing, I guess.
I was gonna say, man, that sucks.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean,
I'm just kidding.
I mean, the drummer from the last band was Eric, and then this is Eric.
It is a solid tradition on this podcast that we just make shit up and talk as much shit about each other as possible. It's, as far as I'm concerned, it's the best way to build the right brotherhood.
All right, fuck all these Eric guys, right?
These fucking Erics, man. What a bunch of Cartmans.
No, so those guys would run rhythm section rehearsals, and we were just, it was all about. It was really a crime of passion for us. It wasn't like...
you said 3 times a week. How long for each rehearsal?
I did it maybe a couple hours, But the point was we were laying a stone to build our path each day.
Right.
And
see, this doesn't sound preposterous to me at all.
No, I mean,
I actually think this is a prescription for bands to be good. Yeah, if you're not getting together, and I've literally prescribed this to people, because I find out the rehearsal schedule, it's the classic once a week on Saturdays for 6 or 8 hours. I'm like, stop. Nah. 3 times a week, 3 hours a night. And in that 3-hour rehearsal is what it really is you start off, you run your set. Mm-hmm. And then you take, so that's usually 40 minutes to an hour. Mm-hmm. And then you take a 15. Mm-hmm. Then you sit there and you work on a song or a part for an hour, right? Write as much as you can, get creative, break down. Maybe during that first set, you notice something wonky. Somebody's getting a little sloppy. Maybe there's a new idea we could put in here. You work on that. And then you take another 15 and then you play your set again. And then you're done for the night. You do that 3 times a week, and I guarantee after 90 days, you will be a significantly better band.
Takes you to a different place, right? Because you have to work the muscle all the time. Yep. It's like, you don't go to the gym for 6 hours and then not go for a week. 5 days. You won't get you're starting all over again. So you hit the nail on the head with that. And I think for us, Vobeta was rehearsing 3 times a week, but he was doing it in different bands, right? And for us, well, if you've got 3 guys there that are, hitting it 100% of the time and one guy that's hitting it 25% of the time, eventually it got to, well, I think we just needed to figure something out a little bit different. And then there was also the idea of, well, okay, what happens when, if Via starts playing shows, Flip starts playing shows, and Fuzzard starts playing shows.
How do you pick?
Ultimately, it could be a problem. So, we talked about it, and we were like, well, we need to find an understudy.
No, I completely agree with this sentiment, because I've even warned Via and the issue about this right now, because they're sharing a drummer. And it's like, dude, you can't continue to play double duty. Not like Colin, you can't physically do this. That's not what I'm saying at all. What I'm saying is, like, it is not smart from a marketing or a business decision for these 2 bands to play every show. And at some point in time, these 2 bands are going to get different offers, whether one's on tour and then the other one gets a shot to open for a national. And that's a good problem to have, because that means you have 2 very good bands that you're in. But at some point in time, you're going to have to make a choice, or get, like you said, an understudy or a fill-in or a backup. Yeah, and then it's fine.
And respectfully, listen, hey.
But just figure it out. Figure it out. That's all I'm saying.
And they seem to be able to manage that. And if that works for them, that's totally cool. It just wasn't our thing.
For now. They're all my buddies. I'm super close with all those guys, so they know I'm not actually talking shit. This is all love.
Likewise.
Jokes aside, guys.
Eric Fairchild was a good friend of mine. We've known each other for, at least 20 years.
So Eric took over for Eric?
Yeah, that was basically it. And Eric Fairchild was in a band with our producer early on, too. So there was this 6 degrees of separation where, I have a relationship with Jeremy Tapero. He's our producer, engineer, Soul Asylum's bassist. And I've been working with Jeremy. Rob and I have been working with Jeremy for, 16 years now, maybe. And he's truly instrumental in helping me find myself as an artist, develop the songs and the songwriting and the craft.
And so he's the one that did all the stuff we're going to play tonight?
Yeah, yeah.
Cool.
And
it sounds amazing.
But thank you. I appreciate that. I'm super proud of it. I think JT, we call him JT, Jeremy, knocked this shit out of the fucking park.
I agree. Shout out to JT.
Yeah.
You did a great job, man. It's a great sounding record.
It's a great guitar album. It's a great sounding album.
It's a great rock record, dude.
Yeah, thank you. That was the idea. We wanted to make just an authentic rock record, and really we're just kind of being ourselves, so
it's you either got to do exactly that,
yeah,
and just like, hey man, this is us, we get on stage, we do our thing,
yeah,
there's no fucking gimmick here, or it's got to be full-blown gimmick.
Yeah,
I don't think you can do the middle ground anymore where you kind of do a little something here and there. You either got to go like full-on fucking dress code with choreography and fucking synchronized light show and pyro show, even at a small level now. You kind of got to do something insane like that.
Sure.
Almost like the Castor Velour Boys. Like, they're really going all in. Mm-hmm. Or you got to just be like, we're just a straight up rock man.
Yep.
Like, rock band, man. You got to fucking just like us, and that's what it is. And honestly, I prefer that. I don't like the gimmick anymore. I used to be super into it when I was young, when I was a kid. Now, I don't know. It's probably just age.
Yeah.
It's probably just age and experience. Because I feel like I've kind of seen it. I don't want to say I've seen it all now, but I feel like I kind of have. Like, I'm to that age where it's like, I don't see a lot of actually original ideas anymore. It's like, oh yeah, this sounds like this. I've heard these guys. Oh, if it's egregious, I'm like, oh, they stole this riff from this band. You know what I mean? Like,
sure. Well, I see that as like, there's different avenues for everybody, and they're all art forms, right? I mean, it's an art form in itself to just try to be true to yourself and do your own thing, and not be focused on building up this. It's all show business. So I mean, you still, even if you're being yourself, you got to polish this shit up. You got to get it tight. You got to have a good show. You work on things, right?
And even the bands with the gimmicks, like from Kiss to Gwar.
Right.
They were still absolute pro musicians. Like, none of them are shoddy. None of them are shitty. They're all absolutely fantastic. They're all top notch, dude.
Yeah, and I think you have to have the musicianship, or like first and foremost the songs. I think that would be the most important thing. Song is number one. And, obviously have the ability to play your instruments and lock it down in the studio, which is a different kind of thing.
We used to call that just being in the pocket.
Yeah.
Can you just be in the pocket?
Can you be in the pocket?
Yeah.
And
which is, I think, arguably the most important thing.
Most important thing. Yeah. Well, good songs, be in the pocket. You got to be able to throw shapes. You got to be a big boy.
But even if you can write the greatest songs in the world, if you can't play in the pocket, it doesn't translate live. And if it doesn't translate live, I don't think you're going to have a long-term success as a live performer in this world. Maybe you can be a studio musician and a songwriter for other people.
Yep.
But if you can't play in the pocket with the big boys, I mean, that's probably still to this day the thing I take the most pride in when I get this compliment, especially when I get it from peers and people that I think are above me musically, is they're like, dude, you're fucking tight. Like, you were a tight musician.
Yeah.
Like, I sent shit to Wally, Wally from Skywine, on drums, and he's like, dude, you have an excellent meter.
Yeah.
I've heard that from light guys when I used to play drums.
Well, you're lucky because a lot of people.
I'll hit that click.
Yeah.
I'll hit that fucking thing on the lights, right, and it just stays the whole show. Like, you're just on it, dude.
Yeah,
and
that's great.
Those are the biggest compliments to me. It's not the shredding. It's not the fast playing. I get a little giggly when people give me compliments on my songwriting, sure. But the biggest one is
locking it down.
Being in the pocket, being a tight musician, being able to stop on a dime.
Yeah.
I think that's the foundational qualities of being a great live band.
I think you're right. And I think a lot of that, well, I mean, natural, awesome meter is, I think, you can achieve whatever you want by repetition being the mother of skill. But at the same time, I think that being a drummer and being able to just lock that shit in on that click. I mean, for some people, they work to get there, but some people just have it, and you probably just have it.
I don't know. I get accused of that, of having natural talent. And I think there might be a little bit of that, but
I accuse you.
But I believe it's a work ethic.
Mm-hmm.
And I may not work as long as other people. It's almost like, I'm going to exaggerate this and use a Kobe Bryant analogy.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what I actually do is dwarfed down from this, but he used to talk about, like, I get up at 4 a.m., I go to the gym, I work out from 5 to 7. Then I come home, I rest for a few hours, eat some breakfast, whatever. I go back, and then I'm there from 10 to noon. And then I come back, I hang out, I rest, I eat a couple hours. Then I'm back from 2 to 4 or 3 to 5 or whatever, right?
Yep.
And he's like, now I've already put in 6 hours of work in that day.
When does he have time to play his drums?
But that would be my thing, right? That would be my. That would be that,
yeah.
And it's not always sitting on the drums. Sometimes it's just listening to music in a very methodical way, right? Sometimes I'm not sitting here trying to play for 2 consecutive hours. It's 45 minutes of deliberate practice. Where yes, I may not be drilling like some of the machine gun fucking metronome players out there, but I am working on ghost notes and deliberately doing things. I'll play a song like an AC/DC song, like I'll just literally get one of the simplest songs in the world to play on drums just to practice these very simple philosophies. And this is just drumming analogies, right? You could take this to basketball, which is where he was coming from.
With anything, you have to have a foundation.
Exactly. And it's, I've been accused of being talented, but I honestly do think it has way more to do with work ethic, because I do like it's like a curve.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like I get better at things fast, and it's because of the way I approach whatever I'm getting my mind into, if that makes any fucking sense.
And some of that is just
that was a big word salad there.
Maybe being a good student of it and like tuning into your powers of observation. Like if you're talking about the Phil Rudd thud, right? And you know, it's the notes in between the kick and snare. It's that space that matters with that, right? And if you start really breaking it down and listening on a critical level like that and perceiving it on that level, like you start to tune in on that whole thing we were talking about before, which is the pocket.
And we should give guys an out, because not everybody has to play like a metronome or be perfect.
Yeah, that's me.
No, in fact, that's usually not great art.
Yeah.
Like Kurt Cobain is probably the best example of having slop in your play.
Yeah.
That creates a sound and a style.
Yeah.
But he was still in his pocket with Dave Grohl.
Pocket. I mean, that doesn't matter.
Same thing with Jimi Hendrix is like that too. Yeah. Jimi Hendrix is not the cleanest guitar player in the history of rock and roll. Yeah. That part of the, and I don't want to call it slop because it sounds condescending, but part of the
it's his character.
Yeah, exactly. There's something in there that if you played everything perfect, I hear when guys do Eddie Van Halen solos all the time.
Yes,
they're almost too perfect, and it's like it doesn't sound right.
So to talk about how this maybe relates to Fuzzard, I think that's where Scott comes from, our drummer, and I think that's what I love about the band so much is that he has a lot of respect for the song. And he just like he's not looking for every opportunity to show the shit off. I mean, we almost have to, kind of beg him to overplay a little bit here and there, right? Like,
sure.
But he's like, I don't want to step on shit. And he leaves holes for vocals. He leaves holes for guitars. And I think that creates a certain sense of a feeling of power within our music. With an economy of means. So it's kind of raw and it's kind of stripped down. I mean, we're produced, like there's some production, there's a lot of layers, but it's simple. And I think that it's got punch because we're not doing too much of that. And, for the record, my timing's fucking horrible. That's the joke in the ballad that got there. Yeah.
Well, guitar players are notorious for having terrible metronomes.
Yeah.
And ironically, my meter is better when I'm on drums versus when I'm on guitar.
Yeah.
It's still pretty solid for a guitar player. My meter's still pretty damn good, but I am better on drums than there's something about that instrument where it's like, I used to get in arguments, serious arguments with my old lead singer / guitar player. His name was John. We were in a rock band called the Tyrants together. And he, for the first 6 months to a year, had a really hard time not being the guy who set the tempo, because he played that style on an acoustic guitar for 20 years, doing kind of folksy weird shit, where he was the rhythm section, he was the rhythm, he was the tempo. And it took, dude, like, I'm talking serious arguments and fights, like not fist fights, but like, no, dude, you follow me. I set the tempo, because my meter was good. And when we did speed up or slow down, he didn't know how to follow the drums. And that's kind of, I think, what you're kind of alluding to is like, you acknowledge your meter isn't the best, your drummer's dope as fuck, so you fucking follow those guys. And that's what it really needs to happen.
And you know what?
Not to spell out the obvious.
Yeah, well, see, look, man, if your rhythm section is tight as balls and they're rock solid and they're they're just working it all the time, and those guys are on, you can fall back into them.
Yep.
You know, and that's the idea. And I'm so I'm proud of those guys. They really make it easy for me and Eric to walk in, and then I just kind of have to get my shit together. And for me, it's focus, right? Like, because I'm the ADD guy of the band, where I'm constantly thinking about different things and doing all kinds of stuff all at once. You know, kind of like somebody I know across the table from me right now, right? So, that's a good thing. And I guess we're talking about like musicianship. I mean, I lock it when I'm in the studio. I get
what
it
you're
done,
talking about with your drummer too.
Yeah,
when you're saying he leaves space for vocals and space for guitars, this is one of the things I think is crucial when you're looking for a drummer. And I've been lucky enough to get this compliment as well. Is it sounds like he's a songwriter first.
Right,
and then he just happens to be playing drums.
Yes, well, he listens to the song.
That's the most important thing, other than being in the pocket and being tight and all that shit. Is like, because now we're crossing the bridge from being just a live performer or a live musician to being a songwriter, right? So now we're transitioning from just being a guy on stage to being a musician and writing art and creating this stuff and then performing in live. Because there's, again, a ton of dudes write great songs, can't perform. There's a lot of dudes, and probably 10 times, 100 times more, who are dope fucking performers, but they couldn't write a song to save their life. To find that blend, especially in a drummer, is I mean, that's literally why I started playing drums, because I was frustrated with what people were doing. So I said, fuck it, I'll do it.
Yeah, so Fuzzard it's a fortunate situation for me, because I feel like I kind of finally have all that together, where the team is really working together as a unit. Everybody's kind of playing to their strengths. I have developed a great writing chemistry with Eric Fairchild. I've kind of always been looking, I've always like loved doing the 2 guitar band thing, and I was never a lead singer until my last couple of bands. I grew up just playing guitar. Eventually, I got sick of all the lead singer bullshit and decided, well, I'm just going to do this, so my fate and my destiny doesn't lie in the hands of somebody else. I had the work ethic of a guitarist, so I just got to teach myself how to do the vocal thing. Well, I hear parts, I hear songs, I hear things. We need the other guitar. I never really had the perfect match, I think, all through my life. I mean, I love all the dudes I've played with and had partnerships with on guitar, but I got a writing partner in Eric Fairchild where it just fucking works really good.
Does he also do leads?
He does. Yeah, we both do. But it's funny, man. He's not like, he's like, I don't have to play that much. I don't have to do. He also, like Scott, he is 100% a servant to the song, and that is the most important thing. And in a weird sort of a way, he's like the producer, the wingman to the producer that's actually in the band, because he doesn't, he's always striving to, like
in football, they say he's like a coach on the field.
Yes, yeah, that's what it is. But it's cool. Like, I never feel like he's stepping on my shit, and I think when we first started the band, Rob and Scott were like, well, this dude's awesome, but it's going to get weird with Brett because he's too good, right?
Yeah, try one of them. Even if you don't drink it, you got to take a sip.
I don't know how it's going to mix with my Coke Zero.
It'll be great.
But, yeah,
I promise.
You told me you were going to try.
Love it.
So I have no fucking where did I leave off? So
You're writing chemistry with him.
the writing chemistry.
Servant to the song.
It's good. He's
producer in the band.
Yeah, and he really tries to refine vocal melodies, and just like Jeremy, well, maybe not, in a different sort of a way. He helps bring out my thing, and he doesn't step on my shit. And I'm not. I think a lot of guys, like when they get in like a dual songwriter band, it can get weird, especially with two lead guitar players, because you think about the ego that everybody's packing, right? Which naturally happens with musicians on some level. That dude does not have one. It's pretty weird because he's is a lead singer in his own right. He can sing great. He used to sing in front of his own bands, and we seem to just want to make great music and do what's best for the song. So it just kind of works. So I got lucky.
Yeah, that's
all
awesome,
fucking
dude.
lined up.
So let me ask you, how'd you get into music in the first place?
I'll go back. My mother gave me an option to play piano or play sports, and I tried Little League. I think it was even T-ball. And I got out there and a kid got smacked in the eye with a hard ball. And I was like, after one day, I was like, I don't know, I'm not into this. Like, I'll take the piano lessons. And I was probably about 5 years old then. And I think, I started listening to her music, a lot of 70s stuff. And by about age 8, I got a bass. I wanted to play bass. I had an Aerosmith poster.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, I had an Aerosmith poster with fucking Steve Tyler and Joe Perry and all the dudes. And Tom Hamilton was playing this. This is kind of funny story. He was playing this white, must have been a P bass or something.
Here, scoot forward just a little bit for me.
He was playing this white P. Is that better?
Yeah,
he was playing
you're just
this.
bumping that guitar behind you.
Oh, sorry.
It's not that big of a deal.
I've been known to bump a guitar or two. So he was playing this white P bass. My mother bought me an Ibanez bass. It was Tobacco Sunburst. It was, some kind of Fender copy or something, 70s lawsuit era or whatever. And I wanted it to be like the bass in the Aerosmith poster. So I got a can of white latex house paint and a brush. And I leaned it up against a shelf or something, and I painted it. Nice. And then my cats came by and fucking rubbed all over it. It was kind of a funny story. I went and I took bass lessons, and I couldn't reach the nut because I'm 5'6". I'm a perfect rock star height, as they say. So when I was little, I was really little, so I couldn't reach the first fret very well, and it was kind of hard or whatever. And I was in the music store one day, and I heard a guy playing some Led Zeppelin, Whole Lot of Love solo or whatever, and I heard the strings bending, and just kind of hit a nerve. And
that's crazy. Like, as soon as you said Led Zeppelin, in my head, it went. And then you said Whole Lot of Love. Like, the odds of me picking that song out of all of them. Yep. Out of all the Zeppelin tunes, that's the one that I immediately thought of.
That was the one, yeah. And
so strange.
I just thought this fucking guitar thing is so cool. And I started playing guitar. I think I was probably 9 years old. And I took lessons on and off throughout my early years. And I worked on, I'd always come in with Black Sabbath records and want to learn that stuff. So.
Come in where? Oh, to lessons and shit?
Yeah. And I think...
So what'd you do? You put the record on literally and go teach me this song?
Yeah, or I would get... they had sheet music and shit like that. Like, We Sold Our Soul for Rock and Roll. I remember that, book I had or whatever. Or I'd play a cassette at the guy's thing. And, I'm old. but I'm reverse aging. That's my new thing.
Okay, Benjamin Button.
Yeah, every year that goes by, I'm getting younger. That's a thing I'm working on. So I just kind of, always have had a guitar in my hand since an early age, and I love guitar, and I love guitars, and I like being around guitars, and guitars make me happy. So,
yeah, I was talking to Todd Fitzgerald because I tried to email a bunch of people that and I was like, give me some dirt on Brett. He's coming on the podcast.
Yeah.
And nobody would give up any dirt about you, which means one of two things. Either you're a great person,
or I pay them well,
or they're terrified and they're scared shitless to get on your bad side. The only thing I got was Todd Fitzgerald said you have a lot of guitar pedals, like a lot of pedals.
Oh, fuck.
Are you obsessed with guitar pedals?
I don't think I have a lot of pedals.
No. Hold on. I'm gonna just read this verbatim because he reiterated
a lot. Let's go.
Like I just want to make sure I read this properly.
I can hear him now. Well, Brett. He's got a lot. Yeah. What did he say?
Yeah. So I said, give me some dirt on Brett. I even told him, not like shady shit. Give me something fun.
Yeah.
And he said he has a lot of guitar pedals. Oh, he said he has a lot of guitars and guitar pedals. A lot.
Huh. Well.
And that's coming from him. That's coming from Todd Fitzgerald. So I'm assuming this is a very large amount. So how many guitars do you have?
I really don't have that many guitars.
Don't bullshit me, Brett. How many guitars do you have?
It's probably like 11 or 12.
That's a lot of guitars, bro.
By whose standards? Like collector standards? I know people that have 20, 30, 50. I mean,
I have 5.
They're
so you have more than double what I have.
5 is a pile.
Technically, I have 4 in this room, and then that guitar has been left behind. So at some point in time, legally, it becomes mine. I don't know when that is, but Dalton, come get your fucking guitar.
Well, they bring me joy in their tools.
They are tools.
Yes.
I used to say that when I was selling guitars. Women would come in with their sons and go, does he really need another guitar? I just bought him this one last year. And I'd go, they're literally like tools or jeans or clothes.
Yeah.
Like you have different ones for different purposes. Like there's a ball peen hammer, which is made for metalworking, and there's a framer's hammer. Yeah. And you don't use one for the other job because they're not going to work properly. They're distinct. There's a claw hammer. There's fucking demo hammers. There's different things for different tasks. They are absolutely 100% tools. I'm so glad you said that.
Yes. And not every Les Paul sounds like the other Les Paul.
Correct.
so they're all a little bit different.
And even more important, they don't play the same.
Correct.
So you could pick up your buddy's $5,000 custom shop Les Paul and be like, that guitar sucks. Mm-hmm. I just hope that the listeners understand what I'm really saying is please don't be foolish enough to think I'll never buy a Gibson. I played a $5,000 Gibson and it sucked.
No.
I'm a Fender guy. No. That custom shop Gibson was made for that guy. Like he picked the neck shape, everything.
And I will say this, and I stand behind this. Your tone is in your hands. Period.
Oh, I'm so glad you said that. Yeah. Eddie Van Halen said this, and I subscribe to this. 90% of your tone comes from your fingertips. 90%.
Oh yeah, the other stuff is just you're flavoring it up, but like
I couldn't agree more.
I would because I'm that guy. Like I do buy and sell a lot of gear because I just love chasing tone and it fascinates me, and I get bored, and sometimes like maybe a new piece of something gives you inspiration and it has a certain sound, and like all of a sudden that gives you a riff or something, right? Like. So that's cool, but Mark Paradise from Last Band Downtread used to say, dude, it doesn't matter. Like, you could line up 10 or 20 different amps. It always sounds like you. There's no difference. Like, so nobody cares.
There's this old story with fucking Nugent getting in a fight in almost a fist fight backstage with Eddie way back in the day. Because Nugent walked up and started playing his rig, and Nugent's an elite level guitar player, so he starts playing Van Halen riffs. And he's like, hit the Eddie button. He's like, what? And he goes, hit the button to make it sound like you. And he's like, you have my rig. And he's like, no, hit the button. Come on, man. Turn on the Eddie effect so I can sound like you. And he goes, dude, and that's the birth of that whole thing.
Yeah.
90% of that shit comes from your fingertips.
Well, that's the thing. Like, the thing about being able to, throwing shapes, not just playing scales, but like doing the thing and, having your own personal style and signature. And once you embrace that, then maybe you wonder why you buy and sell so many different things, because you kind of still sound like you. So I don't know.
Shit, figuring out your style, I think, is fucking the biggest hurdle for most of us.
Yeah.
Just like most people don't even. I mean, I kind of had a style early on, but didn't know it.
Right.
And kept trying to do other things. And after a while, I just kind of realized, I was like, dude, I'm just going to do my thing. And it was like literally 15 to 17 years into playing guitar. I was almost 30 years old before I realized, like, I have a sound and a style, and I just need to do that. Stop trying to do all this other shit. Stop trying to sound like that or do that thing over there.
Yeah, well, it also comes with, not second guessing yourself. And, it's hard, just as human beings, to not be worried about what other people think about you, or you're this or you're that, or be, just believe that what you're doing isn't stupid and not overthink it. And, I mean, that's a confidence thing. And, as musicians, I think we all suffer some level of maybe, some self-esteem issues or lack of confidence issues, because, or at least I know I do, right? Like, the guitar gives you power and music, and it does a thing. So when you start writing and you start playing, or especially with singing and lyric writing, you can paralyze yourself by going, oh, that's stupid, and just stop. And I think the thing to do is just not be afraid and not overthink about, like, what is my style? What is that? Just do it, and just step off the ledge. And eventually you start sounding like you, and you start figuring out, and your style becomes what it is, and you don't really think about it,
Yeah, so that's a great segue. So once you kind of figure out your style and you start writing songs, even if it's not your style, right? Like, as a young musician, right? Like, maybe you're still trying to, in my age, I was trying to sound like Metallica. Doesn't matter, whatever, fine.
Sure.
Maybe you're 30 years old like I was, or almost 30, and you finally discover your own sound. Doesn't matter. You start writing songs. How does it come to you? Where does it come from for you? Do you get inspired by another song you heard on the radio? Like, oh, I kind of want to do something like that. Or are you like one of those guys? Because I've never been this guy where, like, oh, I read a story about
years
this.
of abuse. No, I think, well, it's two things, and it's, and I somehow separate the two. There's the music, and then there's the vocal and the lyrics. And
so for now, let's just stay with the music for now.
Oh,
because we're talking about playing guitar and shit for now. We'll get to the vocal thing in a minute, because you're right. They are very separate.
Yeah, separate, but sometimes the vocal and the lyrics are the thing that drives. I mean, it should be the thing that's driving the song. It's the most important thing.
Do you start with the riff, or do you start with lyrics?
I typically always start with the music, but on occasion, as of late, that's an exercise that I challenge myself with. Like, let's try to have the vocal drive this and build the music around it. Like, if you think about like Mutt Lange and a Def Leppard record, just go to the Hysteria album. Like, that shit was about the vocal, like, you know what I mean? And that melody. But for me, typically, it usually always starts with the track and fitting, and this is kind of a Swedish pop thing. The kind of ABBA way of taking that vocal melody and the words and synthesizing them to a point where they fit perfectly within that music. And I mean, you got to have a story that makes sense. But for me, the guitar comes first usually.
And where does that come from? So when you start with the guitar,
buying a lot of guitars and having a lot of pedals. What Todd said earlier is because you get a new guitar, you pick it up, you get to know it, you do a thing, maybe you hit a couple notes, and like you go, oh shit, there's a thing right there, and then you grab your phone and you record it, and the next and so.
So when you get this idea, do you go to rehearsal with the band with just a riff and flesh it out with them, or do you kind of come together with like the main idea of a song, or is it even fully written and then they write their own parts to the song? Like, how does that process work for you?
Okay, so we don't necessarily have rules that we have to adhere to in this band. Like early on, a lot of riffs and song ideas came from me and Scott just being in a room, and I would have a riff and he'd play a thing. The more we got to know each other, the more I visualized like, this is how Scott reacts to what I do. And a lot of what happens in Fuzzard is I'll come up with a cool riff and I'll usually demo the song up, the shell of the song on my own at home because we were working in the pandemic. So I will... I keep it simple. I work in GarageBand, and I
is that on purpose?
Yes. I mean, because I start going down the rabbit hole of like trying to expand the recording capabilities at my house, and guess what happens? It's all about the gear. Then it's not about the songwriting. I just need a sketchbook. You know what I mean? And I can get my point across in GarageBand, and you can still multi-track 4,000 guitars in GarageBand, and I still do it, Right. So I'll usually put something together and, get it pretty fucking demoed up, like a left rhythm guitar, a right rhythm guitar, maybe some clean textures. I get to the chorus part, and I'll do stereo pair. I mean, dude, I fucking build it up, right?
Are you doing this literally on your phone, or are you doing this through
on
your
my computer? Yeah, and a lot of times I'll just keep my phone handy, anytime I'm playing guitar or plugged into an amp. If I have something that, I stumble across that's inspiring, I just do a quick voice memo of it and save it. That's just keeping your radar up. Same thing with lyric writing. Like, you constantly try to be aware of... Maybe you heard somebody say a cool, or something that would work for a song title or things like that, and write them down, and keep a grab bag of those things through voice memos, through writing notes. Like, I can pull up my phone at any given time and have some words to grab that might inspire me to write the story of the song or whatever it is. But I will demo a song, usually kind of throw it out to the rest of the band, and everybody just kind of dives in on it, and they put their own stamp on it, and maybe we rearrange things a little bit, and then we start working on vocals. Enter Eric Fairchild. He and I maybe work on things together first now, and even get the vocal totally, the song, the lyrics written and the vocal demoed up, and hand it off to Rob and Scott. And then we work it as a band together, and everybody puts their thing on it. I don't dictate to people what to play. We're not that kind of band. I mean, we all do it a little bit. We'll look at it, go, hey, we think this kick pattern might be better, or hey, Eric will say, hey, Brett, why don't you just focus on playing a simple chord pattern here, and I'll do this. Those things happen, but that's what a good group does for each other,
right?
Because
that's chemistry.
Yeah, we're serving the song, right? So,
and that's like a big trust factor too. Like, I've said this before. So, and not every band should do this, right? This is just one of the main things I believe in making a healthy band work well. Mm-hmm. Is that everybody in that band knows what their job is. And what my definition of that, and when I'm in a band, everybody needs to be on the same page on this. So even if the definition changes, that's fine. Yeah. But in a hypothetical situation right now, you and I just started a band. Here's the thing. The reason I want you to do that job, the reason, I voted for you to join the band is because I trust you to, at the end of the day,
do your job,
make the creative decision. So if I go, hey man, Brett, that riff isn't really working. And if you go, dude, I love it. I think it's perfect. If you really want to put your foot down and die on that hill, that's your decision.
Yeah.
That's your fucking instrument. It's your fucking job.
Yep.
And the more me as a drummer or bass player or singer, whatever, the more I meddle in your part, the less time I'm spending on making my part dope. However,
that's great.
However, on the flip side, there's a flip side to this coin.
Yeah.
The reason I'm also in this band and the reason you joined this band is because you trust me to go, Brett, that riff isn't working. So you're going to try some other ideas, right? You're going to hear me out, maybe even try some of my ideas, some of my versions of it. Hey, try this twist, do this. Come forward just a little bit again. You're, whoa.
I got it.
There you go.
Sorry about that. I'll just take it.
And I'll the second time this has happened in a row.
I'll just hang on to it.
This has never happened before, and it's the second time.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm yelling too much or whatever it is, but you guys keep slowly getting back.
Up.
It's like, come closer to the table.
Yeah.
Come closer. Plus, if we go to the overhead shot, you guys are out of the shot anyway, so come a little bit closer to the table.
I'm closer to the table.
But literally, is what I'm saying, though, is like, and same thing vice versa. Like, Jared, that drum part's not working.
Yeah.
The reason we wanted you to be in the band is because we trust you to have good input. So if you're telling me my drums aren't working, I need to listen to that. But if at the end of the day, I'm like, no, dude, these drums are dope as fuck, it's my call to make. The reason that's important to me is because it gives you true autonomy and authority and ownership. You're vested in not just the parts that you're writing, but you feel like you have a real say in the band. It doesn't come down to being outvoted. Sorry, dude, everybody decided your bass riff sucks. Like, that's a shitty way to do things. Like, creativity isn't a democracy. It really isn't, right? It's a collaboration, right? And it takes compromise.
That was eloquently put. Creativity isn't a democracy. It's a collaboration.
100%.
If you take that approach, that you're collaborating with people and you trust everybody's expertise, that's the thing. Like, you picked your wife because you picked your wife. So if you fuck off on your wife, you're insulting your own intelligence, right?
That's kind of a great way to put it. It really is.
So,
and I may not agree with everything she says, but I need to slow down and consider what she's saying.
Yeah.
Because there's a reason she's my wife.
Right.
It's because I respect her thoughts and her opinions. That's a great, because that's really what being in a band is being married to fucking four other guys.
And you chose the dudes you're with because you're like, you know what? I like this dude's style. I trust his judgment. I believe in his abilities. And, I think his fucking cool radar is right?
I can take that shitty guitar.
Yeah, here. I'll hand you the shitty guitar.
It's actually a sweet guitar.
I like the color.
It's hideous, but it's actually a sweet guitar. It's got pull pots on it.
Oh yeah,
fucking love it.
That's the thing. You just gotta trust your compadres that, like, everybody, we have that in our band. I'm stoked. Everybody's kind of on the same page, and we all. So
when you get these ideas on your phone and you bring these to the guys, where's that initial idea come from? Do you like just jump on the guitar and you start fucking around and you hear, like you kind of said before, you hear a sound or you're like, ooh, there's something, and then what's your thought process when you're writing a riff? Like, how do you sculpt that clay? Is it a process of elimination? Are you trying to throw as much shit at it as possible to see what sticks? Like, what's going through your head when you're writing a riff?
Well, for me, sometimes the spigot just turns on, right? Like, and the creative thing just starts happening, and I get into a mode where I'm, just like in writing mode, where I start getting lots of ideas and lots of different song ideas, and it comes and goes in waves. And then other times you get busy with the business of the band or life or different things you're doing, and you're not in that creative mode. And I think when you're writing songs and you're demoing and you're constantly working, and going back to what we talked about earlier about like constantly working, whether it's rehearsing 3 times a week or whatever, when you're working the muscle, shit happens. You just have to fucking start doing the work, right? So like, if you are demoing a song and not stopping, not giving up, not waiting for it to be perfect, but I'm just going to write again. I'm going to work on something else. I'm going to come up with another riff. You have to tell yourself, like, I'm going to do these things. Well, eventually, your creative furnace fucking goes into full bore. And then, for me, I get a lot of song ideas usually in waves at once. But like last night, I was setting up a guitar. Imagine that. And a new guitar that I got that I did some I buy and sell trade a lot too. So I got a new Les Paul, and I set it up, and I was getting it kind of tuned into my setup, and I just went into my office and kind of plugged in quietly, and kind of the first thing that I played was a different kind of a riff that I haven't played before, and I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. And I'm like, you know what, this is one of those moments. And I ran into the other room, grabbed my phone, and just put it on there, just so I didn't lose it.
Sure.
But a lot of times I don't really have control of how I'm going to write that riff. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's like, you're just in the right space in your head. You play something that's inspiring and you're feeling it, and it fucking happens. I think you just got to be open to it.
Yeah, I always say when I'm at my best creatively, my job is like, it's like I'm in a canoe going down the river, and my job is just to steer the boat. Right. Like, it's literally that simple. Just don't crash. Just don't crash the boat. The ideas and the creativity, that's the river, and my job is to just ride the current and make the trip happen without crashing the canoe.
Right.
And if I make it to the end of the river, that's the song. Like, if you know what I mean, like you come in and all of a sudden there's no more current for some reason because you get spilled into a lake, whatever your fucking analogy is. But that's my job, and that's when I'm doing my best. That's when I'm at my peak. If I'm struggling and cramming ideas in and a lot of experimenting and I'm going, what key am I in? What chord progression am I using? Oh, let's try an A here instead. That's never my best work.
Yeah, and I think like sometimes you can get inside of a riff and trying to perfect a riff, but other times, if you take yourself out of the guitar player and get into the songwriter mindset. We have a new song that we're working on for our next album. The song's called Lucky, and I really like this tune. It's so fun to play live. We'll play it at Lakes Jam on the 23rd.
And where can people get tickets?
On your website. Lakes Jam,
at jaredsinger.com.
lakesjam.com.
I should do that. I really should put a page on my website to link to your guys' shit, so when people go to my website, which is still not done, I got to get my shit together.
Yes. So I was working on this song, and I was more concerned with things like, how is the song going to start? How quick am I getting to this chorus? Kind of structural things, right? And I got to the end of chorus 1, and I'm like, it needs a guitar riff right here. And I didn't think much about it. I was just like, I played something as I was demoing and writing the song, and I put it down. And I trusted that I'm a good guitar player, so I don't know, I'll just do this, right? And then when we listen back to it, like, that riff is monster. And I didn't like overthink it. I just kind of went, that's what the song needed right there. So I played something and it happened. And I think the point was, like, I was looking objectively at the tune, more so what the song needed rather than trying to come up with this perfect guitar riff. I know I'm a pretty good guitar player, so like if I do something, it'll probably sound pretty good. I don't mean that in a pompous, condescending way or anything, but I've been doing this a while, so I think I guess it's all different. I can't really answer your question. I mean, it's a long way for me to tell you, but I don't know.
No, it's cool.
Fucking play shit.
Well, it's one of those things I'm always curious about with fellow musicians, because I get asked that a lot too. Is like, where does it come from? How does it happen? How does it work? And it's like,
I wish I knew.
Like I said, finally I came up, when I'm at my best, it's the canoe analogy, canoe down the river thing. And my job's just to steer the fucking boat. But there's obviously other ways it happens as well.
Yeah.
And usually I get in the boat because I jump on a guitar, oftentimes a new guitar or something that's been recently set up or retuned or something.
Right.
And all of a sudden I'm fucking around, warming up, and I stumble into something. One of the other most common ways I start writing songs is I'll hear a song on the radio and I'll try to figure it out without actually trying to play it correctly and just see if I can play something along with it.
Yeah.
And oftentimes I'll stumble into something along that
new
vein,
yeah,
that chord progression, but I wouldn't have written a song like this. I wouldn't have approached a song like this. So it was almost while trying to cover a song, right? Because I'm literally just jamming along to something.
Right.
And I'm like, wow, this is actually really cool. And then maybe I'll switch keys. Maybe I'll change a chord in there or something to make it a little bit more my own. There's only one song I've ever written where still to this day, you can just straight up take my verse, my guitar riff in my verse, and you can play it directly over another song. And it doesn't sound anything like the original, but it fits perfectly.
That's cool.
It's hilarious is what it is.
Yeah.
It's fucking hilarious, especially, and I don't want to tell people.
It's like your own secret mashup.
It really is. It actually really is. And I literally wrote that riff to this other song, and it sounds nothing like the original. And if I told people the original, they would laugh. They'd be like, there's no way. Yeah. There's no fucking way, until I play it over and then they're like, holy fuck, that's insane, dude.
Yeah. So
it's weird.
And then sometimes, to go back to your canoe analogy, sometimes it's literally about getting in a canoe. For real.
Just get in the boat.
No, like getting in a fucking canoe and taking a break. Like, sure. And just going and doing things, like, and getting away from all of it, right? And like making sure you're taking time for yourself to like kind of get away from
decompress
all and you know, do things that are just good. Like, you got to make you time or you'll never refill your tank. You're just like always, you know, at least for me, like if you're always constantly working and taking in all the stress of life that's around you without making some time for yourself to just do some things where you can unplug from everything around you. I think sometimes that's really helpful. You know, George Lynch, Buddy, played on our first album, and
really?
Not Fuzzard, but Downtread, yeah. And he was always one of my heroes, and it was a cool story because I got to meet him later in life, and we became friends. And he played on our first album a couple songs.
That's cool as fuck.
Yeah, it's super fucking cool. And I'll tell you, since we're just kind of rambling about musicology and all that.
Yeah, that's like, what this podcast is. It's just a conversation. We're just hanging out, man.
Yeah.
We just happen to hit record while we do it. That's the only difference.
He always told me a couple of things, like, because I loved his guitar playing, and it's just like, as a young kid, you know, I didn't have a style. I just ripped him off. And I'd listen to some of his stuff and I just get goosebumps, right? Like something about his, you know, vibrato and the way he just fucking ripped your soul out when he bent a note. Like, he said, well, you know, we got together and we worked on some projects and different things later in life through my work with, you know, other things and with the band or whatever. And we found that we were like-minded about things, right? And he's like, well, you and I are kind of wired the same. And he's like, and music is a form of communication that transcends all language.
100%. Yeah.
And he said, like,
I think it's even more universal than math.
Yeah, because everybody understands it. It hits you emotionally. It's not necessarily something you have to learn. So the one thing he said to me is, well, you and I are kind of wired the same way as people. So you understand my language.
Right.
And when I play, it really speaks to you. And I thought, oh, that's pretty cool. Like, maybe that's why this guy hits me so much, because, you know, maybe we're kind of wired the same. And like, I just understand his physiology and his aura and his whatever.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it is. And I'm not sure where I was going with that. But he also told me something else. He's like, sometimes it's good to just put your fucking guitar down and not force it and just walk away for a while. Like, even if it's for a month or two, like maybe you don't have to play, maybe you don't this. He said, because our bodies and our cells and our bones are constantly regenerating. And I mean, he says some profound shit. He's a brilliant guy, but he says, you know, we're constantly regenerating, and at some point you're going to be a whole new version of you. So when you walk back to pick up that guitar, you're literally a different person.
100%.
And that's brilliant, right? I mean, it does make sense. So I think the point is with that is don't worry about things. Just accept the fact that you're a musician and you're a writer, or you do all these things, and you don't have to pressure yourself to constantly come up with the next perfect thing, or what, you don't have to put that second guessing pressure on yourself. And some of this is self-fulfilling prophecy, because I probably have my own self-doubt where I do that with myself all the time, right? But
I think all musicians do. I think we all do that.
Yeah, of course. Like, oh, is this stupid? But
I think that's also literally what makes us better. So it's not necessarily even a flaw.
Yeah.
It's just part of our thing that sometimes we need to let go of, because it's not always healthy. And there's also the creative muscle thing that you mentioned earlier.
Yes.
We get into habits, oh, I'm coming out of this shape. Let me go into this thing. And it's just like, sometimes you take a couple months off and you get rid of any of those habits. You listen to a new style of music, a new band comes out, a new album comes out. For me, a lot of times it's not even just setting down the guitar, but when I pick it up, not even trying to write music, but again, go learn a cover.
Yeah.
Learn a song that I never learned. Learn a song I never would have learned. Learn a song I never wanted to learn. Just getting out of that comfort zone. So by the time I come back to writing my own music,
right,
there's a slightly different approach that's already kind of not programmed in. I don't know how to finish that sentence.
No, but that's that's a good thing. I mean, you're just you're adding more color to your palette. I mean, by pushing yourself. Should we play a song?
Yeah, I was just going to say I got to piss anyways, so that's actually a perfect segue, because that's what I was going to say. Let's play a fucking song so people kind of can see the vibe that you guys got going on right now.
Mm-hmm.
Let me take this fucking chat off screen. And we got the media. So we got 3 songs queued up. I don't remember which order. I think I put them in order that you emailed them to me in. So do you remember the first one?
Sure, that should be Pins and Needles.
I think that's right.
Stoked about this one, yeah.
Right. People will hear us for a couple seconds while it's playing, or while it starts here.
Mm-hmm.
So Pins and Needles. This fucking video should be jumping in any second now. There we go. Yep, Pins and Needles. Here we go, guys. We'll be back when the song's done. Nice. I like it, dude.
Thank you.
Like it. You guys can see the shit on screen. You guys see what's going on here? There you go. Fucking check that shit out. Is what I need to do as well is I need to start putting the links to the videos that we're playing in the description as well. So if people want to go back and find that exact video, because for whatever reason they can't find it in, I don't know why, but I like it, dude.
That would be helpful. Thank you.
I think you guys are a straight up rock band, and I think the world needs more of it.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think there's space for that because there just hasn't been a whole lot of that. But, we're just making authentic rock the way we do. So
damn, fucking went down the wrong fucking tube.
It happens.
I think more importantly, though, not only is it straight up rock music, but it's with good musicians that are playing real instruments. You guys write these songs and you get into a room and rehearse them and perform them together for real. There's this new thing, and I think it's a borderline plague, where these guys practice with in-ear monitors. It's like, dude, that's not good for you.
Well,
in the long run, everything's perfect in every rehearsal. It's like, that's not smart.
I should say this: we're an in-ears band, so.
But do you play with your real amps?
Oh yeah.
So the real music is still coming through the room.
Oh yeah.
That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking these guys are going strictly
all
in-ear.
direct.
So if you showed up at a rehearsal, all you hear is the drums.
Yeah.
Because these guys are all doing everything in their in-ears.
No, I mean,
I don't think that's wise.
We're in a space that is entirely too small for the firepower we have.
That's the best. That's the best. When you're literally trying to turn down so you can hear everything properly, that's the best situation you could be in.
We don't. We just turn our amps around and they face the wall.
That works.
So
that's the same thing.
Yeah. You got we let it buck. But that is where, that authenticity is there, where, like, I'm 100-watt head guy and I play through two half stacks. I mean,
what kind of rig do you play through?
It has been known to change from time to time. I have a few different amps, but my main live rig now is a Bogner Helios Eclipse 100-watt head into a 412, also a Bogner cabinet with Celestion V30s, and then the other half stack is a Mesa Boogie Badlander 100 through another 412 Bogner cab, and then it's a, for the guitar gear geeks out there. I don't know if we have any, but it's a dual mono setup, and I use an Eventide micro pitch to kind of split out to the front of those heads, and detune just a few cents on either of them to kind of do that Van Halen thing. So you have a little bit of wide stereo imaging on those two amps, and then I run a delay in the loop of the Bogner with a boost in the loop for solos. But I keep it fairly, like, effects. Like, I have a lot of effects for the studio, like Todd said, tons of pedals, because you need them for different sounds and different things. But on my live board, I'm the lead singer. I keep it pretty utilitarian. It's an overdrive. It's a wah. I have a Pog that I step on for some octavey stuff here and there, maybe in a solo or something. And
what's the motivation behind this? Is it to keep things simple so there's less things that can go wrong during a live show?
Well, there's that, but it's also that when I grew up playing guitar, it was you learned how to ride your volume knob, and you got your different sounds by working your guitar. And
I love you so much, Brett.
Yeah,
Jesus Christ, I fucking love you so much, dude. Like, you're just validating literally 2 years of fucking podcasting where I've been trying to pass on this wisdom to people, and they just don't get it. This young generation, there's a very small pocket of them. Shout out to Brad, by the way. His kid's one of them.
Yeah.
Logan Stahlecker from Stormbreaker. He's one of them that gets it, even though he's actually technically playing a modeling amp. He still knows. He fucking gets it.
Yes.
Because it really doesn't matter if you're solid state tube or modeling amp. The only thing that matters is, do you know how to dial them in to make them sound dope as fuck?
Yeah, that's the point. Yeah, work with what you have, and I try to keep it. somewhat simple. So because you need your shit to be bulletproof live, right? And the more stuff you have, the more room there's for problem. But there's also this idea, like if you're serious about like chasing really good guitar tone, the more circuitry you're going through, the further away you get from the magic of a Les Paul, a cable, into a Marshall JCM 800. That's how I grew up on, and the responsiveness and
there's science behind this too.
Yeah.
I mean, you literally lose decibel levels with every foot of cable, and that includes your that 6-inch patch cable in between each pedal. I think it's 20 feet or 25 feet total. So you got a 15-foot cable to your pedal board.
Yeah.
And then you've got 12 pedals. There's 6 feet worth of cable right there. And then you got another fucking 15-footer coming out of that to get to your amp.
Yeah, and there's things you can do.
Like you're not getting a pure signal.
No, and you can buffer your signal to boost it back up, and you can do all these things. But every time you introduce a new piece of gear, you're also going through the circuitry of that gear, right? So
there's
everything starts sucking your tone down.
And there does become a little bit of delay as well.
Yeah, and then there's latency. And
latency. That's the actual.
The tone fundamentals get kind of blown apart, and just kind of just doesn't sound alive anymore. So
and this gets expounded. Yeah, expounded, is that a word? Did I just make that word up?
Compounded.
I think that's what
exacerbated.
No, you're right. Compounded. It gets compounded when guys go wireless as well. They lose even more tone because now you're doing digital compression to make that a wireless signal. And it's fine. You can make it work. And I think most guys should go wireless because it gives you more freedom on stage to be a better performer. But these things just need to be considered.
It all adds up. Yeah, you got to
consider it.
You've got to
just consider it.
Yeah, consider it and figure out the equation that works best for you. But also, like for me, if I'm the lead singer, I don't really want to be tap dancing on a bunch of bullshit. Like the other guitarists can handle all of those extra things, and my job can be to fucking hold it down. I still get my chance to solo and be a show off and do all that cool shit, but what's most important is that I'm singing good, right? So I try to keep it fairly lean and mean and just fucking play my guitar good and get the tone from my hands and let the record be the record. We still reproduce it well enough. If the band's fucking banging and it's raw and everybody's tight and they're playing their parts, like you play the obvious parts that's in, some overdubs aren't there or whatever, but that's okay. And then Fairchild, takes a lot of all the ear candy parts and the the specialty things that require more effects and things like that live, because he's not on lead vocal, so he can kind of focus on all that and make it perfect. So and then in the studio, we have fun doing it all together. So
when did you start taking guitar tone and songwriting? Because it seems like for you at least, these things kind of go hand in hand.
100%.
Maybe they didn't.
Yeah.
Maybe they didn't. Maybe they were at different stages of your life. But it seems like they were almost simultaneous. When did you start taking them? When did you become more? I'm trying to pick my words carefully because I don't want to be so abrasive anymore. Because I feel like if I just go, when did you start taking it seriously? That's too monotone. It's too narrow of a question. Is what I'm really saying is, when did you start being more attentive? When did you start being more thoughtful and thorough about what makes good tone? Why is it important to have good equipment? Why does it matter to be a good musician or write good songs? Because it's a mentality that shifts when it's just a hobby and it's just fun and we're a teenager to go, and I'm going to start my first band to, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. There's an attitude and a personality shift there. When did that happen for you? Was it young, or were you already a grown-ass man?
No, I was young. I was into it. I would say by age 12, I think I really was I got into the gear early.
Really?
Yeah, when I was 12 years old, I was, I don't know. Sometime, 11, 12, Bark at the Moon and fucking Marshalls and guitars. And, I had a Gibson Flying V, I had a Jackson Randy Rhoads guitar. And I was just always into the gear part of it, big time, you know, and I wanted to have a perfectly awesome guitar sound. And I grew up in an era where, you know, I got a little bit of late 70s stuff and some 80s stuff. And, you know, guitar was really at the forefront of everything. Like it was a big deal to have great tone. And I
which is subjective.
Yeah.
Great tone is subjective.
Yeah.
But it should never be overlooked. Like, if you're not thinking about it, if you're not being thoughtful about what do we sound like does this actually sound good? And that's what my real question is like, when did you take it seriously beyond just like, oh, it fucking sounds cool, to like, this needs to sound better? You see what I'm saying?
Probably right away in my like 15, 16 years old. I was probably at that point. You know,
what made that happen?
You know, I can even remember like just playing in like high school bands and stuff, or like playing at I don't know, nobody has kegger parties, but like I just remember like my sound was important to me. And what was coming out of the amps, and you know, the guitar.
So was this
playing.
something that you heard like great musicians talking about, that you just kind of like knew it needed to be a thing, or were you annoyed by the shitty tone that other people had? What was like maybe you don't remember?
I don't know. I just was like, how do I make this better?
Because for me it was literally like, I thought we sounded good, and then I heard a band that did sound good.
Yeah.
They went on right after us with the same PA. Because that was always my thing, is like, oh, those are pros. They have a different PA, and like the excuses. And then one day we played a show, and I thought we fucking crushed. The crowd seemed to say that we crushed. And then they went up. They were louder. They were tighter. They sounded better. Every single instrument, every single part cut through the mix. And suddenly I realized we aren't on that level. Everything I thought about how we sounded, and I'm only talking about the sound.
Yeah.
That is not, we're not that. And whatever, we're missing something. And I went on a fucking journey, brother. I went on a journey, man. Like, what is making them sound so good? And I learned about quality of gear. I learned about tube amps. I learned about solid state amps. I learned about all that shit. And I'm still learning to this day. But that is what it was. It was me realizing there's something not only better out there, but I was deliberately shown in my face. Like, oh, a great analogy would be basketball. Like, oh, I come up, I fucking make a quick dope ass move, and fucking I have this sick ass layup, and fucking I look like Michael Jordan. And then all of a sudden fucking Shaq comes down and dunks and puts his dick on my face in front of everybody. Shatters the backboard. I thought what I just did was cool. That was way cooler. And it wasn't about the music. It wasn't about anything else. It was clearly the gear they were playing. We were amateurs. They were pros. And that's what it was for me. Was there anything like that for you?
I mean, constantly, really. I mean, even, you know, all the way up to the last band, you know, you can go and just, I guess, constantly try to find ways to improve your game. I mean, we try to do that. Like, we try to listen to, you know, we try to watch a video and figure out where we can be better at what we're doing, whether it's like, you know, the visual performance, what we're doing in between songs, how are the guitars in tune, how does this amp come across live through the mains, you know, I mean, perfecting
it was just always kind of naturally in you.
Yeah. I mean,
there was no event, there was no mentor.
No.
Interesting.
Not really. I just, you know, I mean, like, you just want to get better at what you do, so you watch people who are good at it, and you just kind of start doing it. And I think, like, you know, you talk about the basketball analogy, whether it's golf or basketball or weightlifting or whatever the sport or the athletics are, you start running. Well, you start getting serious about running. You start running 2 miles, 3 miles. You know, once you get 5 miles, you realize like there might be a shoe that works better for your foot to make that run more comfortable, or, you know, let your body get more into a natural state when it's doing this thing, or
what
basketball shoes, whatever.
The toes over knees or whatever it's called.
Yeah, and all those industries exist to help you improve your game and to take your money and help you get better. But I mean, I'm not. It's not all smoke and mirrors. Like sometimes what you can pay for quality and get better stuff. But at the end of the day, you got to be good at what you do. You can't have it like buying the best gear in the world isn't going to make you play in the pocket, like you said, right? So
I thought Kempers were modeling amps. Shout out to Brad in chat. He says, "Oh, and by the way, Kempers are not modeling amps. Those are actual amp responses."
Yes.
Not sure what that means.
Did we talk about? Did we talk about Kempers or something?
I brought up modeling amps because I always use it in a phrase. Whether you're solid state, whether you're fucking tube amp, whether you're using a Kemper modeling amp, I always just say that because.
Yeah, and that's cool. Was it Brad that said that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I don't I love big tube amps, but at the same time, like if you listen to our album, there's definitely tracks where I used like impulse response from a Mesa Boogie or a Rev amp, or used a Line 6 Helix to even cut some solos, and I think there's a place for everything, right?
I agree.
So the
Roland Jazz Chorus. I mean, that's Metallica's clean tone through most of the 80s. Yeah. That's a solid state amp.
Yeah, beautiful amp. So,
one of the points is to validate both of what we're saying.
Yeah,
is you can't get that sound
with a
tube amp. Like my 5150 is never going to sound like a Roland Jazz Chorus. It's just not going to happen.
No.
So if I want that tone, I have to use a solid state amp. Now, can you get here's what it boils down to is, and this is a skill. Do you know how to dial in a Roland Jazz Chorus to make it sound dope as fuck? Like if you can, because here's the thing, it may have a sound, but if you don't know how to dial that amp in to get a good sound, then it all becomes moot again. So basically is what we're doing is taking a long time to beat around the bush of the idea that dialing in tone and caring about tone, it's not that we're tone snobs. It's that we understand that's an entire skill set.
Well, speak for yourself, because I am a tone snob. No, I'm like, no, I think you're right. I think you're, and it goes back to what we were saying. They're all just tools to help you achieve a result. There's no right or wrong answer because it's all subjective. We have, there's a video from early on, our second single. It was the first video recorded, second single we released it. It's called Life Turned Black. Eric Vobeta's in that, was when he was in the band. That guitar solo on this album, and I have, lots of fancy tube amps that I use everywhere for all these big layers and all that stuff. But that guitar solo is one of my favorite guitar solos I've ever done. And Jeremy busted my balls to make that thing kind of epic, and it's a triple solo. There's a thing that comes in, kind of does a thing, then there's a guitar harmony, and the outro has this kind of Van Halen-y thing with tremolo picking and a big high note at the end. I love that solo. I recorded that solo with a Line 6 Helix, but we used like a vintage Boss phaser, an old TS9 tube screamer in front of it, and did a bunch of things, and I had the right Les Paul, and that tone sounds great. And I'm not afraid to say, like, I did that on that solo. I mean, the rhythm guitars around it were recorded in a big room with fucking stacks bucking and 100-watt tube amps and all those things, but to the point of, like, whether it's Kemper or Axe FX or tube amps or this or that, like, it's like, hey man, whatever if it sounds good, it's good. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's this band Banehinge a while back.
Yeah.
They used these weird solid state Marshall amps, and I can never remember the fucking actual amp. I'm trying to get Chad on the podcast, but Chad knows how to dial in tone.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter if it's solid state or tubed.
Yep.
He got these fucking Marshall amps dialed in to where anybody that came and seen them live was just like, oh my God, their tone is incredible. Like, what are they using?
Yeah.
And I actually know a couple dudes that went out and bought those amps, and they were like, it sounds like shit. I don't know what Chad is doing. And who knows? I don't know either, man. I don't know if he was running a different pedal setup in front of it. I don't fucking know, man, but it sounded amazing.
Yeah.
It was fucking awesome.
Doesn't
Bait
matter.
Ninja's tone was great.
It doesn't matter how you get there, you know.
Just most people can't do it. And
Yeah.
it's going to be easier to start with a tube amp. I think that's my final resting place on this whole never-ending debate is like, I think if you start with a good tube amp, you're starting from a better place. So even if you're not great at dialing in tone, you're still going to have better tone than most people because of the quality of the signal coming out of that amp to begin with.
Yeah, and it's weird, like, you know, a lot of, you know, younger players, they don't know maybe what a 100-watt Marshall amp, you know, a stack feels like, and how that thing breathes and how it throttles, and how you have to learn how to, like, you know, tame the wild stallion, use your volume knob, get feedback from the amp, and do all those things, and dial in that tone. It's a different animal. And I mean, I agree. I think that's, you know, for me, like, that's what I like. I'm just not afraid to mix in the other stuff too, you know.
Brad's got a good question on this subject.
Yeah, sure.
Do you use an attenuator live because you were seemingly getting to that sweet saturation point that you don't normally get at low volume behind these modern PAs?
So I don't use an attenuator. We're probably, you know, it's very important that you're not too loud for your front of house guy, but our front of house guy is a little too loud too. So, and he mixed us, like me and Rob, like back in the day when we were kids. So he's like kind of deaf like I am. So when he tells me, all right, that's where I want your volume, so you guys are in the mains, we do it. I think, like, I'm using that Bogner Helios 100 and that Mesa Boogie Badlander, and those amps kind of get to that point quicker. I think, like, Friedman's, Mesa Boogie, like all the new modern stuff, whether it's a diesel or, you know, obviously you're into tone. The
50-50, the 5150
yeah,
is a victim of that too.
All these things kind of saturate at lower volumes better. We gotta get them right to the point where we're bucking. We're an in-ears band, but I like to have the feel, like, and I like to have the ears in, so my mix is the same every night, and I can hear my vocals and have control over the mix, and everything's cool. So it's a balancing act of that. But I think some of those amps, you know, let you get there quicker. I have a JCM 800, like a, you know, original 80s JCM 800.
Nice.
Yeah, and I pulled it out for practice. Holy shit, that thing is loud. And it's 50 watts, but it's fucking way louder than those other amps. Like, I can barely have that thing on. So, like, if I was going to use that amp in a live setting, I would literally just flip my 412 cab around backwards so it was not going out. Because you got to remember, we're on in-ears and we're feeding the front of house that way. The cab's just on stage to give us some vibe.
Yeah.
We don't have any microphones in front of our speaker cabinets anymore.
No shit, huh?
Yeah, no.
So what, do you run a DI out?
So on my Bogner, I have a Palmer DI. So it sits in between the head, you know, comes out of the 8-ohm speaker jack into the DI, back into the cab XLR to the ears rig. And then on my Mesa Boogie, it has, you know, the cab clone technology, which is basically impulse response, right? Where you can switch a different speaker cabinet. But I'm playing through real tube amps. So I'm not miking a speaker. But I mean, we're throttling big guitar amps. And then Eric has a Friedman JJ, and then he uses my Bogner modded JCM 800. That's like that's for Pride and Joy amp. Fuck, sounds good. And that's like the Snorkeler mod, like Alice in Chains facelift album. It's that, and it's we die young in a box, you know. But we use direct, you know, basically he uses the Friedman Mike No More's. I have a Palmer DI, and then direct out of the back of my amp. So if that answers your question, we just push it till we get there. And then hopefully that's not too much for everybody else. But
and if it doesn't, then fuck you, Brad.
Yeah. And And it's, it's a struggle because like we have to keep it, I mean, like Jeremy came in once we were working with Scott, because poor Scott, like he's trying to be a drummer in our band, and he has 2 guitar players with 2 100-watt half stacks. Like we have 400-watt heads in a rehearsal space that's not that big. And we have to rehearse, and we use our live rigs in rehearsal, like through the ears rig, the whole thing. But we turn our shit around and it faces the wall, so you don't hear a lot of guitar in the room, but you put it in your ears and it's there. But we like to get our amps loud enough so you can feel it, because I think if you can't feel that, shit kicking and the earth moving and the air pushing, like I want low end.
It's literally pushing the air. Yep.
Yeah, you have to do that because, at least for me, like.
Well, that's live music.
Yeah, like I need the energy,
And the crowd does too. The crowd does too, man. When they're standing front stage,
and you fear the woof. Yeah.
Like literally, if they're standing front stage, they're not hearing any of the PA above them that's blasting to the crowd. They're depending on you having great equipment, so you sound dope as fuck. In fact, the only thing they can hear the vocals out of are usually out of the fucking monitors.
Yep.
So a lot of times when you guys go in ears and you're not using the stage monitors because you don't need them, right? A lot of people that are super close to the stage, they can't hear anything, let alone the vocals. It's a mess for them, right?
Yeah.
So they're depending on you having real equipment. They're pushing air, and the only way they hear the vocals is literally if those actual on-stage monitors are active and they're close enough to them, then they can actually hear those vocals.
Yeah, so
unless there's a sidewash monitor.
No, and everybody up front probably can't hear our vocals, but one thing that we try to do in Fuzzard, and I'm not even talking
about you specifically. I'm talking about just globally, philosophically.
Yeah, no.
Again, just consider this shit.
Yeah.
Just consider it. And I'm not saying I'm right. I'm just saying you guys don't gloss over these things like none of it matters. That's what's pissing me off, is you hear this new rhetoric. It doesn't matter. Yes, it does. If it works for you, cool, but don't say it doesn't matter. That's all I'm saying.
Well, because band dynamics are important, right? So when we're on stage, one thing we try to do is, you don't want to be killing the front of house, but like you don't want people up front only hearing drums. Like you want a blend that sounds like a band. And, the guitar volumes are working together. They're at about the right level. The low end is there. The drums are there. Like, so there is that whole thing where some bands just have no fucking stage volume at all, and they all come through the PA. That's not my thing, and I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It's just not the school I'm from,
Yeah, and again, I do think it's a bad thing, but even if I'm wrong, just consider it, Because, you're not always going to be playing in a place that has a dope PA, and everybody's going to hear everything perfectly. This is where great live stage gear comes in, where you're pushing air, because even if the PA isn't there, as long as you get kick drums and you get vocals and everybody can hear those two things, if the band's gear is good enough, you should be able to dial that in and still have an absolutely crushing show. And I've seen it happen.
I've fucking seen it happen. Like, I've plenty of times where I'm like, I don't need the fucking PA. I can turn this shit up. But
where I learned this lesson was hardcore shows.
Yeah.
I was in a band called Solace and Ashes, and we would do a bunch of hardcore shows, like in basements and shit.
Yeah.
And if you had good gear, all you really needed was the kick drum from the drum set and the vocals to come through that PA. And I watched these bands tear places apart.
Yeah.
Like, I was blown away. And honestly, still to this day, those are some of the most impactful performances I've ever seen. But they all had legit gear. None of them were playing the fucking in-ear shit. Like, yeah, I've seen it at big shows, and I get it, but I don't know, man. I think it's missing. So again, guys, just consider it. Just consider the fact that there's a reason this has been done this way for a long time, and it's not just ego because people want to have big amps. There's a reason these gear companies put millions of dollars of research and development into the new version of their amp to make sure it's worth the fucking investment and purchase price.
We're a hybrid, but the big amps are always there for us. Should we rock another track?
If you want to, let's do it, man.
I feel like we should, Otherwise, we're just going to keep babbling about guitars, which is fun, too. So,
I mean, that's really all this podcast. Dude, I've done 3 hours with guys where it's just dick and fart jokes, bro.
Okay, well, then we're talking about cool stuff. Yeah.
Welcome to the basement, buddy.
I did
Welcome to the bottom. You're really fucking.
Yeah.
You're really scraping the bottom of your social pool, hanging out with me tonight, Brett.
Yeah. Well, this is good conversation. I appreciate the gear question from Brad. That's cool.
Our the people that do watch this show live, especially live, they're the real motherfuckers, and we got a great audio listenership as well.
Yep.
It's just not live, obviously.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, the people that do, we're not that big, but the people that do actually watch, they're the real motherfuckers.
They're into it.
They're the real motherfuckers. So what's the second song?
This is Out on a Limb.
Out on a Limb?
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Out on a Limb by Fuzzard. There we go. There we go. Now we're unmuted. Yeah, I got burnt out on like the metal
Yep.
a long time ago. I still love metal. I'm still a metal kid. That'll never fucking change.
Yeah,
Ever.
right.
Like
Well-
it'll never change. But man, I'm so glad to see that I'm not alone on the refreshment and resurgence of just straight up rock and roll music.
Yeah.
Like, make it as heavy as you want, but just this idea that, no, we're just creating rock and roll, dude. I fucking love it. I couldn't be happier.
Yeah.
And there's more and more bands like this coming out here.
Yeah, I think that's cool. The Issue's kind of like that, you know?
Yep.
I think...
Remnant Soul was up there before they broke up.
Yep, I agree.
You dipshits. No, there's only one guy. There's only one guy that I'm actually calling a dipshit, and I've texted him. He's a dipshit ever since he quit that band. Yep. Shout out to Casey. I love you, buddy. You're the man.
Yep. Yeah, we played with them. Was that our first show?
Uncle Daddy's another one.
Yeah.
If you haven't played with them, I hope you play with them soon. You probably will, because they're breathtaking.
Oh, I would love to. We're brand new. You know what I mean? We've only played a few shows, so. But I think like
your band's brand new.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I'm not brand new. Fuck no. So
all you guys have been around for a while. It's not like you guys are fucking never done this before.
No, it's not our
Fuzzard's new.
Fuzzard's new. It's not our first rodeo, but the band's brand new, so we haven't played a lot of shows yet, and we're stoked about playing shows. But like you talk about this authentic rock and roll thing or whatever, or just playing rock, like for me, that's just really all I know how to do, and I just keep doing the thing, you know, and trying to make it better and get better at writing songs and perfect the tones and just keep elevating the craft. And that's what it's about for me, whether it's the videos and, you know, I mean, the band has an image, but it's natural, you know, it's not a gimmick for us. It's more just we're rock, you know.
That's dope, dude.
But trying to touch all those things from, you know, the whole presentation, because it's the whole thing, right? It's not just, you know, the song. It's the song. It's the show. It's the logo. It's the, you know, you have to treat it like, you know, in some respects, I wouldn't say it's a gimmick, but like, you know, you have a product that's got to be presented well, and it's got to be packaged well, and every little piece of it, from the live show to the people that are on your crew to the producer to the engineer to the website to the whole thing. Like for me, I just try to make that the best that it can be all the time. And, you know, in the same way we chase the perfect guitar song, we chase the perfect mix on the album, the right song, the right thing. And it's just try to make things better and just keep doing what you do. So
when you're not doing music, what do you do to like get creatively rejuvenated? Like, what do you do outside of music, not musically, that provides inspiration or motivation to get back to your instrument, whether you're taking time off intentionally or not?
Well, I like, you know, anybody that follows me on social media knows I have a dog. I have a German Shepherd. I'm pretty stoked about. She's my good buddy.
Oh, you mean you don't have 5 little ankle biters running around being assholes?
I got just one big one. I got one big one that does the job of 5.
Dogs. I love my
your
dogs.
Dogs are great.
I'm obsessed with my dogs.
Yeah,
but I pretend they're complete terrible people, and I talk shit about them like they're my fucking children.
Yeah. I mean, I got 2 kids. I spend time with my kids. I got a great family. I got a great wife. I got
the dog.
Yeah. The dog, you know, we have the Dogs of Fuzzard on Instagram. We have created a site for them because I'm so fucking out of control with my dog.
No shit.
Oh yeah, there's reels up. There's there's thing. All
is
the
it
dudes.
Just your dogs, or is it every other band member's dogs as well?
It's predominantly my dog, but it's all the Dogs of Fuzzard. Are on the Dogs of Fuzzard. There's a Facebook page and an Instagram page, and that's developing. The dogs get more action than the band does, which goes without saying.
It's Instagram.
Yeah. So
dogs and cats dominate the internet, dude.
You know, and we try to, you know, feed that machine as well. Maybe not as much as Fuzzard, but you know,
you got to print dog merchandise with your band's brand on it.
Oh, it's in the works. Don't don't kid yourself. There's a plan here.
Let me fucking tell you something, Jared.
But you know, I don't know, man. I like, you know, I love unplugging. I like to go to the gym. I like to go for a run. I like to, you know, I like to just like have that just time for myself. To also just to relieve stress, you know. And I like spending time with my family, and you know, there's not a day that goes by that I'm not really around guitars and music or whatever. But you know, sometimes just getting away and making time to take a break from everything, whether that's like planning a few days where you fucking go somewhere, that's important too. You know, I don't know. You know, art and music is my background. I'm a graduate of the College of Art and Design here. So art's a thing. It hasn't been a thing for me so much lately. Like in the last band, I used to do all the graphic design and the album covers and all those things. And my day, you know, during the day, I work with Premier Guitar. And on occasion, I'll do some ad design for some of the manufacturers that are our clients, and things like. So I keep my hands dirty with that. But you know, that's something I'd like to make time for more. But I don't. You know, there's only so much time in a day. With Fuzzard, I realize like the one thing is like you can't be all things and get it done. So you have to be able to delegate and let that go. So I have, you know, a good partner that, you know, does all the artwork for us and things like that. Even though that's, you know, something I do that I'm passionate about, I think it's better served to, like a good band member, to say, hey, I trust this guy. He's really good at his shit. You know what I mean? And he understands the vision, and we have a vibe and we have a look, and he makes it happen. And then that allows me to focus on other things like writing the songs and working with our video guy or our producer or engineer. And I think it's about, I guess you asked me what I like to do besides music, but I'm going right back to it.
What do you do not musically that kind of rejuvenates you creatively or musically? Like, what do you do outside of that, right? Yeah. That provides that sort of rejuvenation to like, or motivation to go back to your instrument. Like whether you're setting down the instrument intentionally or not, what do you do when you're not playing the instrument? What are the things that provide you that creative motivation or rejuvenation?
I guess all the other things that I mentioned, you know, family, dog, outside, gym, you know, I love being outside. I like, that's why I like summer, but, you know, that's about it. I mean, I'm pretty simple.
For me, it's like there's two big things that have always stood out that make me a more creative or driven person in the music side of things. It's seeing live music or suffering some sort of like legitimate travesty or heartbreak. It's one of those two things. Those are the two things that make me reach back and go, I gotta fucking play some guitar. Yeah. I gotta fucking, because this sucks, or that was so awesome. You know what I mean? Like it's a very stark yin and yang for me. It's like, this sucks so bad, I gotta escape and go over here and do this, or that was so fucking awesome, I want to go do this.
Yeah, I don't. You know, for me, it's unplugging and taking a break. But I truly relate to what you're saying about like this sucks so bad. Like if you listen to our songs, they're dark, but they're hopeful. You know,
we got one more we're gonna play too here in a little bit.
Yeah, but I think you know, especially with songwriting, like you know, if you've like for me, this is just therapy. You know what I mean? I mean, I just try to tap into things that might have not gone so great for me in my life, or work through them through songwriting or whatever. So bad shit or a bad day, you know, you got to put that somewhere. And, you know, if you can channel that energy and push it out through your music, like that's cool. You know,
yeah, a lot of guys just have the gym. You know, when they have that bad energy, they go to the gym, and that's cool. That's very good. But if you can harness that creatively and turn it into music or art in some way, shape, or form,
it's got
whether
attitude.
whether it be comedy or music, or fucking acting or writing, like maybe you're writing poems or movies or something. I don't fucking know. I think that's. I think the gym thing, most of us need to go to the gym more because I think there's some serious physical and mental benefits from working things out that way in a physical manner. But to manifest an idea and see it become something real. Like, think about what we do as musicians, right? Like, we have an idea that starts literally with nothing but something inside of our brains. And then we jump on an instrument. And all of a sudden you can hear it. And then you get another group of guys together and you create an entire song. And then if it's good enough and it becomes a band, could even become a video, a music video. And then you can go on live and do this thing on stage. And now it's this whole actual tangible thing that exists in the world that started from fucking nothing. That's fucking cool, dude.
Well,
and that's
it
a
is
very special privilege that people like us have. And I feel like a lot of us don't appreciate that.
Well, I think you hit on something. You said it came from nothing, but it did, maybe it did come from somewhere. And that's the thing. If that somewhere had something real about it, something genuine, whether that was like you were letting out that bad day or whatever it was, like, if there is something real to the foundation of it, it will resonate with people when they hear it and they'll feel it. And, or at least I'd like to think that's the case, because if you're just up there playing a song or music about nothing, it might not connect to people, I mean, it could if it was crafted well enough and the melody was right. But I think that if there was some, even if the riff came from some tortured emotion or whatever, like, that's the language that's the emotion you're expressing to those people. So if they can catch that, like, if there's something really there, to me, that's really important. Like, how to always get back into a song and go, like, what is this, like, having a real story, that, if somebody can't relate to it, I mean, if people can relate to it, that's how you get a hit, right? Like, it's so universal, like, that everybody understands it. Whether it's a Tom Petty song or a Journey song or whatever you think, fucking Don't Stop Believing. Like, who doesn't understand that? But, if the music has some sort of carnal energy to it that came from a place and it wasn't just an exercise and,
I didn't even notice Eric was in chat. He said, "What's up, fuckers?"
Oh, yo, dude. I
wish I could highlight certain ones on screen.
Yeah, man. That's good shit. Gonna have to get Fuzzard Stormbreaker show on the books before long.
Yeah, that's Brad. But I'm seeing in the other chat here
Eric Vobeta.
Eric Vobeta.
What's up, my dude?
What's up, fuckers?
Yeah, I was talking all kinds of shit about you earlier today.
That fucking cocksucker came on the podcast and hot onesed me. And we had like 10 minutes of me like literally barely able to breathe. Yeah. And fucking, it was hilarious. And a lot of people were very entertained. So I'm not actually talking shit.
Yeah.
But I'm definitely calling you a cocksucker. Oh, there's my camera. I'm calling you a cocksucker, motherfucker, because that shit was brutal.
Nothing but love for EV.
Oh, I have all the emotions for Eric. Yeah. I'm so upset about that. I'm just kidding. I'm not upset about it, dude.
Do we rock another track?
I think we should, because I got to piss again.
Yeah.
And then we can come back and wrap up. But before we play this track, I got one more question for you.
Okay.
I got one more question.
I'll try to answer.
Do you have any hobbies that aren't musically inclined? So, like, because we've talked a lot about like unplugging and getting away from it, setting the instrument down. We've talked about that a lot, right? And this has come up on the previous 2 podcasts, where one guy, Rudy, he's a stand-up comedian. It's still musically inclined. I think he's even done music in the past. He used to work for 93X and KS95. He was talking about he's practicing like self-hypnosis And then the podcast before that, I was talking with my boy Chris Peters, and he was talking about practicing silence. And this is something I've been deliberately going out of my way for a while to do, which is like not listen to a podcast, not listen to music, not have the TV on, and just literally force myself to be alone with my thoughts while I mow the lawn or clean the house or something like that. Are there any hobbies or practices and things you do that aren't creative or art involved?
Yeah, I think some of the stuff I said earlier, like I like to go for a run, and my son always asks me.
And you don't listen to music while you go for a run?
Yeah, he always asks me, like, Dad, because my son, I'm super into my kids. Like, me and my son, he's super into weightlifting right now, and he's gung-ho.
How old's your boy?
Yeah, he's 16, and he's a good influence on me, and that's something we can enjoy together. We don't always work out together, but sometimes he spots me, and I spot the kid's a beast. But he's always rocking the AirPods at the gym, and he's like, Dad, how can you not listen to music? I'm like, I don't want to. I want to hear, like, the rhythm of my breathing, and I want to hear my thoughts, and you're
not listening to the music in the gym.
It's hard not to sometimes because I'm a musician, so I hear songs come on and whatever. And but when I run outside, a lot of times I take my dog for a jog because German Shepherd's got to get exercise. I really like that, and I like that for the unplugging of it and just like listening to the sound of the wind and the world, and working it out. And
you get a runner's high?
Yeah, big time. If you go long enough, I used to run a lot, but it can take its toll. So I try to mix things up a little bit and just kind of keep my shit together and work on that reverse aging, but that we were talking about earlier. But I don't like. It's odd. I used to.
We should rename you Brett Button.
Yeah.
That's a terrible joke.
That's a terrible joke.
Such a bad joke.
Yeah. I used to listen to
and it was way late. Like, it wasn't even witty. It wasn't even quick.
Yeah, that's all right. I didn't even catch it.
The reverse aging, the Benjamin Button joke I made earlier.
Yeah,
it was a bad callback. It was a bad joke, dude.
So I think, like, I used to listen to a lot of music all the time. It's even worse
that I had to explain it.
Yeah, 24/7. But to answer your question, I try not to listen to too much shit sometimes.
Yeah.
And I try to not be concerned with what everybody else is doing. I know that seems counterintuitive to not be constantly engulfed in listening to the latest thing all the time or whatever, but I find it helpful to, when I want to get my music fixed, get it for myself, because I've spent a lifetime listening to everything all the time. So sometimes it's good to not,
No, that's fucking great, man. Well, let's play this song.
Yeah.
And while we're playing this song, guys, throw in your questions. I'm going to put it on the screen now so you guys don't forget what the point is here, guys. Oh, my effing God. Okay, there we go. Put your questions in now. Throw your questions in now, and we'll start working them in, whether it's inspirations, guitar rig questions, whatever you guys got for them. We're going to play one more song, and then we'll work in a few questions, and then we're going to wrap this bad boy up. So this next song is...
live version of Monster Carnival. This was from our second show or something, or our third show at the Southern Theater. Yeah, it's pretty cool. It just shows what the band can do.
And you did this during the pandemic?
It was right towards the tail. This was like the day after we released the record, December 10th. It's literally just this is live footage from our show. This is it. Like the guitar tracks here are the guitar tracks. They're not yeah.
The fucking Southern Theater was doing some cool fucking shit during the pandemic.
Yeah, it was fun.
I got that dude's number. I gotta get that dude on the podcast.
So live song for you.
What's it called again?
It's Monster Carnival.
Carnival.
Yeah, there is a studio version of this song, which was the first song we released. We thought it would be cool a year later to put out a live version.
I love it.
So here it is.
Here we go.
Yep.
Monster Carnival live. by Fuzzard. Eventually.
Here it comes.
In several seconds. Apparently now.
Hear the sound of lightning. Come inside, don't be afraid. Wind outside is frightening as the devil starts to break his cage. I can hear you calling if you need someone to lean on when the wolves are hungry. If you need someone to feed on, stand in place, darkness waves, let me feel your rage. Thunder pounding brightly, you wake up to a crack in the sky. Electric eyes are blinding, creeping up to make you afraid. I can hear you falling if you need someone to feed on when the wolves are hungry. If you need someone to lean on, stand in place, darkness waves, let me feel your rage. If you need someone to feed on when the wolves are hungry. If you need someone to lean on when the walls are crashing down. If you need someone to bleed on when the wolves are hungry. If you need someone to feed on, stand in place, darkness waves, let me feel your rage. When the wolves are hungry.
There we go, baby. Yeah.
Smash the like button.
Smash the like button, bro. Oh man, that's fucking hilarious. All right, do we got any questions popping in? Come on, guys, throw your questions in now. We'll start working them in. Anything we missed? Anything you guys want to chat about? We'll get it in. Do you have any fucking shit we missed that you want to talk about? Is there any questions you got for me, my guy? Whatever you guys want to do. We got about fucking 15 minutes. We'll
When
wrap
is your
this
next
up.
canoe trip?
My next canoe trip? You know, it's funny you say that. It's going to be... It should have been this week. I'm going to probably start Monday. Just because I got so much shit going on this weekend.
Yeah. Good.
I will probably get back on the horse Monday because I got 3 more songs I got to track on drums and get over to Wally. Then I got to go sit down with Wally. We got to go through some of the edits he's already made. I got to play live guitar to them because we're going to remove the scratch track and see how everything sounds and feels.
Sure.
And then it'll be like, all right, well, this part's a little wonky, and then I'll come back home and retrack it and send it back to him. And
Yep.
yeah. So next week is probably when I'm gonna get back on the horse and start banging out some drum tracks. I'm only doing drums because I have to. I'm doing drums because I can't find the right drummer or a drummer with the time. It's a big problem. I'm not supposed to be drumming on this record. I'm just supposed to be a guitar player.
Why?
What do you mean?
Why wouldn't you want to do the drums like it's all coming from you?
Oh, because I've already been a drummer in a band, and the whole point of this was for me to be
something
the
else.
rhythm guitar player, main songwriter, not necessarily doing everything, which
understood.
Just defaulting to that. But
I think
now
cool.
is what I'm doing is I'm having guest lead guitar players, and so I'll have preferably a different lead guitar player on the record for each song, and then I'll do all the drums and rhythm guitars. And I'm probably going to write most of the bass. But I'm hoping Joe Bunrud from Revenant Soul is still going to track all the bass. He said he'd do it, but again, people get busy, right?
Yep.
So, and then Jeremy Montoya from Wither the Tide is doing the vocals. So
sweet.
Hopefully that comes through.
Working on
we get this fucking shit done, dude. It's been taking forever.
Working on some new music. That's always good.
You got new shit coming out too, right?
Well, we're working on a new album now, but we're still our album is basically brand new. We're starting a radio campaign in the coming days. We're shooting some guitar playthrough videos actually tomorrow. So we're going to do some more videos for some of the songs in the album that haven't been out yet as we're writing and recording the next album. Then I think, the plan is kind of rinse and repeat and build upon what we've already built. And, eventually we'll start releasing new singles for the second album along the way. There's still a few more of this album to come out, but always kind of keeping something in the pipeline. So we've got, something to keep in the air and in front of people all the time.
So people should go to fuzzard.com so they can check for your updates, including for your fucking, what is it, the Lakes Jam?
Yeah.
It's a big show, right? This is like a big festival, if I remember right.
It is.
Lakes Jam's kind of a big deal, if I remember.
Yeah. I think I heard there was 7,500 tickets sold for the day we're playing.
I was just going to say, it's like 10,000 usually about. It's probably a little down because we're still in this weird post-pandemic, fucked up economy thing, but.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like a 10,000 person thing, I think, if I remember right. And that's dude, those are big numbers, man.
Yeah. I think it'll get there because I think, we're still a week away. So if they're, getting close to 8,000 now, I think by the time we get there,
but you guys can do it. You guys can go to fuzzard.com. You can go to lakesjam.com. You can buy tickets. You can go see these guys play live. It's next Saturday.
Next Thursday. Week from today.
So you're on the opening day of the festival.
Second day. I think
it starts on a Wednesday.
I think it does.
No,
I don't know. It's
got to start on a Thursday.
I'm pretty sure we're day 2. I could be completely nuts, man. I don't know.
God, if it starts on Wednesday, they got balls.
Yeah, big balls.
They got fucking balls to take a Wednesday, man. I don't know, man. I bet you it starts Thursday.
Well, I don't think so. Can we just take a look?
Yeah, you take a look. Look it up on your phone. Let's verify this for people as we're sitting here speculating.
I will take a look. Oh, look at all this shit that's come through. So many unread messages and emails.
Well, thank you for not sitting there and checking them as each one came through. And if your asshole friends have been texting you during the podcast, they're rude.
I don't have any friends.
If they're watching this on the replay, I'm talking about you guys.
If
you sat here and texted him while this podcast was happening, you're a dick.
Yeah. I think you're correct that we are day 1. So
on Thursday, right?
Yeah.
I was gonna say there's no way a festival starts on a Wednesday. That's insane.
Yeah.
I was either thinking that, or if you are day 2, then you're actually playing Friday.
Yeah.
Because the earliest it would start on a Thursday. So you guys are opening day. That's a big deal. So there's 7,500 tickets for the first day. That's amazing, dude.
Yeah.
That's dope. You guys are playing in the middle of the afternoon, like 3:30?
3 o'clock is
I think
our
that's
set.
one of the. When you do a festival, there's only 2 slots you want to play. You either want to play super early like that.
Yeah.
So you're done by like 4.
Yeah.
or you want to be like after sunset. You want to be super late, so you're playing with lights.
Yeah.
And my logic for it is this.
Yep.
People are actually interested in hearing music up until about 4 or 5 p.m.
Then they're shit-faced.
Right?
Yeah.
Or they get hungry, or they need to replenish their supplies, and they go back to camp. Like you do not want to be in that abyss between like 5 p.m. and fucking 8 p.m. You don't want to be in there. You want to be either early.
Yeah.
And then same thing is you're done. Then you guys can party. You guys can mingle. You can have fun. You got the rest of the fucking weekend
We can make some
to have a
friends.
great time.
I can make some friends. Yeah.
Yeah, you said you don't have any. Maybe
None.
you can get at least 2 by the end of the weekend.
I have a couple.
At least 2 by the end of the weekend.
Yeah.
All right, go to fuzzard.com. Check these guys out. Lakesjam.com if you want tickets to the new show that they got coming up next Thursday,
June
1.
23rd.
June 23rd.
Yeah.
This probably won't, no, it definitely won't be out on audio by then, but the YouTube replay will be up the whole time. So like as soon as we're done, people can start over from scratch. So you can promote it, push it, everything. You guys know what to do. Like, subscribe, go support this guest links. We all fucking love you guys. We're out of here.